that, you're going to have a real tough time competing.
Yep. Yeah, and that's even the same in my space with the finance world, is that, having those certifications, those credentials is going to make the difference between you and the next person, and in, quite literally, the difference between you even being able to get into the space or not. And so many people, they focus just on the degrees, but those certifications will in fact posture you to be at the same pay scale as someone with a PhD. And so, having certifications isn't something to be sneered at, because it actually is more important in many cases than the full-on degrees. And so, it's another course that somebody could follow to be able to get into an industry.
One thing that happened in the military is they were constantly teaching schools and having classroom lessons. And one thing that happens with a lot of veterans that get out of the service is that they stop going to schools, and then they lose their competitive advantage, right? And so, like for myself, I have to recertify on 5 freaking exams every year, and then there's 2 more that are every 18 months. That's every freaking year, right? That's just to stay on top of and stay present with what my industry is doing. Well, there's no way I can do them all, so then you have to hire a team and have a team of specialists. But I don't want to be the expert in the room. I would rather have a team of experts around me advising me on what to do. So you have to earn your own place in business and in the world, but then you need to be building leaders around you and training them and giving your information to them and empowering them. And so that's a big part of it as well. And that definitely goes into your legacy. I've trained a lot of veterans to become Google certified, and that's one thing I set out to do, is that it's really hard to get into the space. Why? Because if you have no experience, nobody wants to hire you. So they basically have to take a chance and bet on you, right? And so the bet that I've taken is on people that have signed their life away on the dotted line. If they're willing to do that for their country, then I'm willing to do that for them and give them a job and give them the training and help them break into the space. And so sometimes it's just about getting that connection, that mentor, that right person to help show you into the tech space and where, you individually fit in, or where you best fit in. So getting a mentor is really, really crucial. And not just having one, having 2 or 3. I'd say Gene Blanton is probably Gene Blanton and Wade Myers are the 2 men that I look up to the most. And if I could live my life and turn out to be one of them, then I'm sure I would have left a great legacy in my life. Somebody that you might want to reach out to and talk to is Wade Myers. Wade Myers, he's an Army veteran, has a Bronze Star from the first Gulf War. He Harvard MBA, so super smart. And this guy's really accomplishing stuff as an entrepreneur, as an investor, and as an advisor. And just each day they live their life in such a positive way. And so having that mentorship to say, hey, this is who I aspire to be, and I want to be like them. So I've surrounded myself with people that will help shape the legacy that I build and that I leave behind. And hopefully I can follow in their footsteps and do just as good. And maybe if I'm fortunate enough to surpass what they're doing, but at least if I follow in their shadows and footsteps, I know I'll be doing a good deed to this world and living out a good life.
Yeah, and when you're mentioning the different gentlemen there, and also mentors, is people should surround themselves with, when you're picking a mentor, surround yourself with those that they've achieved what you want to achieve, they have what you want to have, they've succeeded in the area that you want to succeed in, because just it's almost by osmosis, it seems sometimes, that just surrounding yourself with those people, it's going to rub off. There's truth to that saying that we are the sum of the 5 or 6 people that we surround ourselves with and spend the most time with. And so you surround yourself with good, successful people, you have a much better chance of becoming one. You surround yourself with negative people, naysayers, people that have that scarcity mentality as opposed to the abundance mentality. You're going to be a scarcity person. You spend your life around people who are broke, you're going to be broke. So just kind of keep that in mind. It's when you're choosing a mentor, choose carefully. But then, choose people that have what you want, because it will rub off. And don't be afraid to ask for help from them, because chances are they want to help you. They've succeeded because somebody helped them, and they want to pass it along. It's kind of, head trash, as I call it, that people say, those people don't want to help me. That's probably a bunch of BS. They in fact do want to help you because somebody helped them. And it makes them feel good because they're trying to build their legacy at the same time as you're trying to build yours. There's my 2 cents worth there on that part.
Yeah. I was talking to a guy the other day through a Facebook group, and he and I've talked on the phone a couple of times. I don't know him too well, but the guy's name's Curtis, and he made a post shortly after about guilty by association. And if you associate yourself with the wrong people, you're going to bring the wrong type of spotlight on yourself. But then also, if you associate with yourself, it's like birds of feather flock together. There's some person that came up with that saying probably 1,000 years ago. Well, it still rings true today. Who you associate with. And like you said, the 5 people you spend the most time with, that's who you become. And so if you're surrounding yourself with 5 shitheads, expect yourself to become a shithead. But you just may not know it because you hang out in the shithead community, right? So you might need to have 4 friends that, you need to branch out with different mentors. Sometimes people get stuck in these groups and they just don't realize how that group dynamic or that peer pressure is just sucking them into a path, just the wrong path. But then you got these other groups that are going the other way, and they're going lightning fast, doing positive things in their community and what they're working on.
Yeah, absolutely. And that even applies to clients that you're seeking. Is if you're seeking clients that are basically the low-hanging fruit, then you're going to be known for doing business with the low-hanging fruit. And so, think better of your business. Don't just go for the easy business, but, go for the businesses maybe a little bit harder. Go for the client that is the more high net worth client that you thought you may not be able to get, because before long, all the people you're working with will then be the high net worth client, and you'll be known for that. So it's like you're saying, another saying that I heard growing up, we're Texans here, so I can throw this one out there. You lie with dogs, you're going to catch fleas. So it's just like that. That's what you're going to attract, is what you're around. So
that is true. That is absolutely true. Although I did hear a tip on that from a veterinarian. If you have a pool and your dogs drink pool water, and I have a pool and I cannot keep my dogs from drinking the pool water, it keeps the fleas off of them. So that's about the only. You hang with dogs that surround yourself or drink pool water, chlorine, you might not get fleas, but the rest of them you'll definitely get bit on.
Yeah, problem is your carpet will lose its color. When they pee on your carpet, you have that bleach passing through. So
yeah,
there is that.
That's hilarious. Well, what else do you want to talk about, James?
Well, I just had a couple more questions, before our time wraps up here. Kind of on the subject of values, though, with value system is a lot of people incorporate their values into their business, and then especially nowadays, there's sort of 2 schools of thought of, leave your values, or especially even your religious beliefs, out of your business, and then others that, very much incorporate it into their business. Which side of that fence would you say that you fall on, and how would you advise others to follow, that position?
Yeah, I think your values need to be shown through your work and through your actions and through your words. And I don't think that you really believe in your values if you're not bringing that with you everywhere you go. And I also think if you're willing to sacrifice your values for money, you're willing to sacrifice your values and lie to people or scam them or trick them, then there are really no values at all, right? They're meaningless and don't have any real value that you're living by. And I see a lot of that. I think that you should set a path that others want to emulate and follow. And so that doesn't mean that you carry your values here from 8 to 5 and then drop them off, or that that you don't bring your values to work. And I mean, one of the problems with the government is the government gets involved and tells people, like the baker, you can't, you have to make this cake for this person, and their religious background says that, hey, I'm not supposed to do it. I think also people misunderstand or misinterpret their values and always want to be in the right. And they think, oh, I have these values, and so I'm gonna set the high ground here. Like, good grief, who are you? You're just another man, or you're just another woman. We need to treat people with respect. We need to treat all people with respect, even if we don't have the same viewpoints or the culture or background, but we should be able to share values. We may not come from the same town. We may not come from the same culture. I mean, Texans, we're way different than Californians.
Right.
Texans are way different than New Yorkers, but we can share common values. Do not lie. Do not cheat. Do not steal. That should be understood. There's values, and so I think that I can separate it. You have human values, but you also have like laws of nature. You have laws of humanity, right? Laws of nature, laws of the physical world, laws of God. Well, those things don't go away just because we don't want to recognize them. It just means you're not recognizing them. And so these things maintain true, whether you want to recognize it as an individual or as a group or as a society. I mean, cheating somebody should just not be acceptable, right?
True.
But you also don't have to shove your doctrine down their throat and force feed and tell them how they are and what they are and who they have to be. That's ridiculous. And so I see a lot of this on the internet and on the news. And it's just, I think some people have taken this too far with their political ideology or their propaganda, if you will. They're trying to share and say something that they are, and they're really not. And so I think that, Marine Corps taught us do not lie, cheat, or steal. And they taught us God, country, family, Corps, right? And so these are things that maintain true for all people wherever they are. But I know people that drop their values with their family or drop their values with their wives or with their children. It's just not a good way to live. It's just not living with purpose and not doing anything real good in the world.
Yeah. Very, very well put. Very well put, Alex. Because, I found, this is something I do with my business because, all the people that know me and do business with me, they know I'm a person of faith. And so, I don't beat around the bush. I don't hide it. I don't sugarcoat it. But also know that there will be some people that if they're uncomfortable with that, that's okay. We can shake hands and part as friends. They're probably not going to be the best client for me. And so, that becomes, kind of that understood conversation that there's right up front that, I may not be able to help you. You may not be comfortable with where I come to the table, but that's okay. I do know somebody who's going to be appropriate for you, and I can still bring value to your life. So, that's the difference in, you were mentioning the case of, the baker and someone who had different belief structure is, that could have been handled better. It didn't have to be handled the way that it was, but, there could have been another way to handle that. And, there's many situations of that sort to where, people can inject their values and should inject your values into your business because, like you said, Alex, if you're willing to separate and be a different person on the clock versus off the clock, then that's not being honest. We have a mutual veteran influencer, Stephen Kuhn, that has the belief system of honesty, integrity, and transparency. I totally agree with his philosophy on that because if you're honest and you conduct with integrity and you're very transparent about things, then people know exactly where you stand, and they're going to respect that. And so just conduct your life that way, with that kind of an honesty. And like you said, don't lie, cheat, and steal because those things, they shouldn't be done, and we shouldn't even question it. Yet, unfortunately, in our society, I think we've sort of reached a point where we try to and want to question everything, and we want to quantify everything. And that may be a point where we should try to rewind the clock and stop questioning everything because they are laws. They're laws of nature, laws of man, laws of God that we should not question. So with the with another question I have for you as we're